Sing it, Johnny. Ba-ba-da-dun-dun-da-da. Oh, boy. Yeah, Hunter Biden. Does this sound familiar? 303, how's it going? It's only the Kimmer with Johnny Cash, the Kimmer with Pete Davis, sidekick producer and sports raconteur extraordinaire, and the mechanical mangler flounder at the controls. How's it going? It's Wednesday, the day after the 4th of July, Independence Day celebration with Johnny Cash, who on this day, you sing a little Cocaine Highway for you. This day in 2003, Johnny Cash made his last ever live performance when he was at the Carter Ranch. He sang Ring of Fire, and right before that, Johnny Cash read a statement about his late wife he had written right before taking the stage. He said, "The spirit of June Carter overshadows me tonight, and the love she had for me and the love I have for her. We connect somewhere between here and heaven. She came down for a short visit, I guess, from heaven to visit with me tonight, to give me courage and inspiration like she always has." That was on this day in 2003. 3 months later, Johnny Cash died. And, he loved a good woman. He cheated on her. He was a cheating guy. He cheated and cheated. What was that? What was one? What was the song he made a pledge? I'll never cheat on you. What was that famous song? I walked the line. I walked the line. I'll walk the line. I'll have a temp, but I'll walk the. He was cheating on her. So anyway, he was had a problem. So, but I love Johnny Cash. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, bringing things up to date. Anyway, how you doing? 305 already. Quick birthday note. Edie Falco. Carmela on The Sopranos. Carmela is 60 today. Edie Falco was also the title character in the series Nurse Jackie. And she played Hillary Rodham P. Stinky Fart Cabbage in the American Crime Story Impeachment. That was a good series, by the way. I really enjoyed that. It was pretty well done. Although I think they gave her too much credit, as though she was mad at him for cheating on her, as though she didn't know he was cheating on her. Anyway, what a crock. Edie Falco is 60. By the way, I did see the series Nurse Jackie, and I've forgotten everything about it. I don't remember whether it was a crime. I don't remember anything about it. That's not a good sign.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Well, Pete, did you ever see the series Nurse Jackie? Did you ever see the series?
No.
Not Flounder?
I'm a heterosexual male.
Well, no, it was an HBO series, and it was the girl from The Sopranos. Of course, I watched it because it was, anyway, I can't remember it. That's no big deal. All right, quick thing here. I think speaking of Pete Davis, 1921 on this day, as you would know, Pete, say it ain't so, Joe. The White Sox throw the World Series, 1921. Bummer. Anyway, we have Holy Crap at Sports coming up later on this afternoon, and Pete's tweets, and Skynet, and comedy. We got Flounder's Funnies. We got some really funny stuff. I think we have a little Sam Kennison today, perhaps. We can actually play on the radio. Anyway, nice to have you aboard. I'll tell you about a billion things coming up here today. It's the day after the 4th of July celebration, Independence Day. It's 305, and here's a phone number if you want to give us a call. We love phone calls. Again, I know you're not used to that kind of thing because this is sort of a digital age. Oh, and by the way, we're going to talk a lot about that coming up, but I'm going to be reading something about Meta, and I have no idea what it is. But first, our phone number, 404-741-1230, 741-1230. Sutton is in the house, and he's if you have a phone call, we'll put you on the air. And again, if you have the app on your phone, when you dial, as soon as we put you on hold, you'll be able to hear the show again, so you're not missing anything. 404-741-1230. Okie doke. Now, topics and stories. Holy cow. Well, first we'll talk about what we did for the holiday weekend. First of all, Flounder, did you and Miss Veronica, by chance, have a little anything, 4th of July weekend type of stuff?
Yeah, we hung out at her place and just kind of hung out at the pool with a cooler of beer, and she made some ribs and a bunch of good food, and we feasted.
Holy cow! Outstanding. Good for you.
She really enjoys to cook. She's a good cook, so she likes.
Really?
She likes to cook.
Oh my God! Well, ask her right now. Will you marry me? I love you. Will you marry me? I don't want to. I don't want to be without you, and I don't want anybody else to have you. If you say those two things to her, I guarantee you she will be swooning forever.
Good to know.
I can't imagine myself living without you, and I don't want anyone else to have you. Bing, bang, boom. By the way, she's so sweet. And here's an example of how out of it I am concerning modern technology and modern job. If I had to go search for a job, just look for a job other than doing a radio thing, because I've been blackballed forever. Anyway, if I were to look for a job, I was talking to Veronica, and I won't give any personal information on, which I don't even know for the record, but we talking on Monday when she came in to say hi, and we were checking. I said, well, what kind of work do you do? And she said something like this. I deal with the systems that are linking the systems of the other possibility of the system efforts of the linking of the computer of the entire system of the systems. And so, and she told me, and I have no freaking idea. I don't. I don't even know what that means.
I guess from a 30,000-foot view, she's a sales director for virtual technology.
Again, a virtual technology. And I don't even know what that is.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, when COVID happened, the workforce worked from home, so you had to deal with Zoom and virtual aspects of remote working.
Flounder, he literally asked her 3 times what she did.
And Pete was here, and Pete's looking at me like, she just told you.
3 times.
3 times.
I still don't know what she does. I mean, do you have to go to places, or are you all on the phone? Or I mean, I honestly, I don't know.
She's a spy.
I don't know.
She's a spy.
I think she's in witness protection program. By the way, does she listen to you? Does she have a chance to listen to you when you're on the radio?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, anyway, hi, Veronica, if you're listening. Hope you had a great 4th. Excuse me. Oh, mercy. Okay, billion thing. Now, Pete Davis, how about you? Exciting adventures on the 4th of July? We did work Monday, so you didn't have like 5 days off, but any 4th of July Independence Day type stuff?
Well, a couple things. One, I had forgotten how good a fresh, cold watermelon tastes on a hot day. It was. I hadn't eaten a watermelon in a couple of years, and it was just a revelation.
If it's sweet, do you get a sweet? Boy, when you get one that's just kind of not bitter, but just not very sweet, is horrible.
We had one from the farmer's market. She cut up and.
Yeah,
I got a bunch really nice. And
I used to know. I used to know the way you can tell it's by whether your fingers are wider than the stripes on the end of the melon or something. Have you heard that before? If the like stripes on the end of the watermelon, or at the top or bottom, whatever, I think are bigger than your fingers, then it's ripe. Or if they're tiny, I don't know. There's some.
Well, you can thump it. Plus, on the bottom, if you turn it over, if it's kind of yellow, it's kind of getting ready too underneath. So there's a couple ways.
Yeah. Anyway, so you had a good watermelon. Okay, good. That's.
Right. So I'm looking for fireworks. I'm driving around the lake looking for a good place to view the fireworks, and I'm coming past a really nice lake house, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I can tell somebody's rummaging around the back of an SUV. It was starting to get a little dark. And as I pull up next to it, there's this stunning 20-something in a bikini. By the way, National Bikini Day today.
That's right.
And she's wearing a bikini, and she leans back out and gives me this biggest smile as I drive by. And it was like, I don't need to see fireworks now. Oh, my God. She was just a heavenly presence right there.
Okay, embellish.
Well, just in a bikini, looking like she should in a bikini.
So you stopped, turned around, and said, "Hey, baby."
No. That would have been creepy. I should have said, "Hey, where's a good place to watch the fireworks?"
Hey, ho, yeah, there you go.
So anyway, so I'm pulling over in front of a tractor supply company because someone said that's the place to watch the fireworks.
Oh. All right.
And I pull in, and there's a souped-up Subaru, some redneck behind me who somehow has souped up a Subaru with big wheels.
A Subaru?
Who does that?
If I was going to soup up a car.
I mean, what the money did you waste, sir? So, for good reason, so all of a sudden, the blue lights start behind him.
Uh-oh.
And I'm thinking, oh, boy, he's either after me or he's after the Subaru. So I whip into this road that I think is a road. It's not a road. It's a construction road. There's one way in and one way out. Oh, no. All right, so I go to the end of it. I turn around and come back, and I go, aha, he was after the Subaru. He was after him. And then I realized the Subaru has just stopped in the middle of the road, and I'm stuck because the cop is behind him, and I literally sit there for 30 minutes while 3 police cars pull up for this redneck in a souped-up Subaru, and I'm trapped. I'm going to miss the fireworks. Just before they went off, they finally let him go. I don't know what they pulled him over for, but they finally let him go.
Well, there you go.
Also, when we get back from the break, I have a question for you two about something I saw yesterday at the pool all day.
Oh, my. See, that's why I didn't even go. In fact, the guy who owns the place that I rent, you have to get a key to the pool, and he got it because he owns a joint. They don't send it to me. They don't know who I am. And he called me and said, do you want the key to the pool? I said, no, why would I even want to go in there? I can't take that kind of pressure. 313. I'm serious. 313. That's a Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder on 106.3. Look out. How goes it? It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. 317 on Extra 106.3 with Pete Davis and Flounder and Sons back there, too. Grateful Dead, yes. I don't know how many people like me in my age, you really had to be high to listen to these people. I'm sorry. But they were huge. And my daughter is still a huge Deadhead.
They just played 3 nights in Denver at I don't think they sold out, but the majority of it was.
Still, yeah, and they're in Colorado, and she's still a Deadhead and always will be, I think. And you got to give them credit for, they were a major force in that, and they're still going strong. Grateful Dead. On this day in 2014, the 4 surviving members 9 years ago gave what they said would be their last performance, playing to 70,000 fans at Chicago Soldier Field. That came 20 years after the death. 20 years after the death of lead guitar player Jerry Garcia, played his last show in the nation's 3rd largest city in 1995. Again, that was 2014. Let's see, quick birthday. Remember that little hard-body little teeny actress, Catherine Irby from what the hell is that? Law and Order CSI or whatever. Well, Law and Order, no, not CSI. Law and Order
SVU.
No. The one with the guy who played in Full Metal Jacket. Who played the bad recruit in Full Metal Jacket. The big guy. What?
Gomer Pyle.
Yeah. And
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Vincent D'Onofrio. Thank you, Pete Davis. Vincent D'Onofrio. It was in the series he was in. Law and Order something. The second one. Anyway, Catherine Irby, she's 58. And I know somebody cares about this because Flounder's got a question. 1946 on this day, French designer Louis Riad shocks the guests at a popular Paris swimming pool when he introduces a daring, skimpy 2-piece bathing suit, the bikini. Named after the Bikini Atolls, because there's almost nothing atoll in there when you get out. No, it can't be right. The woman who wore it was named Micheline Bernardini. And she was the first woman to wear his popular bikini. And Flounder just made an observation over the weekend.
Well, it was yesterday when we were at the pool, and I kind of just noticed that there was ass everywhere. Well, all the girls today wear bikini or thong bikinis.
They're thongs. They're no longer bikini. It used to be 2-piece. It was a 2-piece suit, and those were, you saw a lot of tummy
and a good portion of them were like string bikinis.
But now it's all thong. It's a string.
And by the way, I didn't find it that appealing, to be honest.
Well,
I'm a big fan of the bikini. Do not get me wrong.
Well, I think you're right. I don't think there's anything. In fact, I remember seeing some time ago a couple of women who were in the pool, and they were standing in the pool with their backs. They were standing and putting their elbows on the side of the pool, so you could see, and standing in the shallow end. And all you could see was they were kind of leaning, talking to each other. And from inside the pool, you could see their bare fannies with a little string between their fannies, and it's not attractive.
I didn't find it attractive.
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't find mostly naked women attractive. Well, you know what I mean. It just seems a little, I don't know, crude or gross. I don't really care one way or the other. Now look at you. If you dress like that, I'm going to look at you. And I'm going to want to think sexual things about you. Sorry, it's you're asking for it. So not that you should be blamed, but you're asking for it. You're going to get it. Anyway, okay. 404-741-1240, 741-1230. Did I get that right? I think I got that right. Anyway, billions of issues. We'll talk about Independence Day stuff. We'll talk about Ben & Jerry's. We got a couple of sound bites of someone who's sick and tired of the hate on the Independence Day. Also, the Secret Service is now confirmed. Yeah, that was Hunter's cocaine there. We believe it was Hunter's. They're saying no. I'm sure it's the public. There's an area where the public goes all the time. Yeah, I know a lot of people in the public go to visit the White House with cocaine, which they leave conveniently for someone else. Please. Also,
it was the cocaine bear.
The cocaine bear was Jim Fowler with his friend Claude Justeau was giving a special animal tour of the White House. We'll talk about President Crime Family's brain, President White Trash. Also, this Meta thing with a Twitter killer app, and I don't even know what it means, but you guys can explain it for me. Reparations teacher, and we got a billion things. All right, let's start. Actual topic. 3:22 is on the clock. Before I forget, Just forget. I mentioned the floundering when I drove in. I come down 400 and then I get off at 4A and go west to get on to 285 west. So it's about a 3-mile period from where you get off 400 to where you actually get on to 285 west. And it's all construction. It's flooded. The rain hit when I was coming into work. I mean, it was fine in Alpharetta, but I got about past Northridge and all of a sudden, boom! And it was as heavy a rainfall as I've experienced in a very long time. It was hugely a downpour. And I wonder, I hope you contractors who were building that area between 400 and 285 realize it was flooded. We were going through, we were making puddles. It was like, honestly, it was 8 or 10 inches deep. We had to slow down to 20 miles an hour because I was afraid of flooding out my engine. I mean, it was huge waves of one after another. If you think you can get, if that construction project is done when it rains, there's going to be a problem. I mean, it was bad. In fact, some founder sent me a Twitter notice that people are actually going on Twitter saying, look out for 285 and 400 where that thing is because it literally flooded.
All you need is a souped-up, jacked-up Subaru. Go right through it.
The cops will be happy to escort you, too, apparently. Is that a phone call?
Yes, it is.
Hey, let's take a phone call. God, I don't know why I'm choking to death in here.
Clayton.
Clayton is on the horn. Hello, Clayton. Welcome aboard. Nice of you to call us, sir, and welcome. Thank you for being here. What's up?
Hey, Kimmer, thanks for having me. It's great to hear you guys on the radio, as always.
Thank you.
I was calling about those bathing suits.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's not really attractive, especially unless a girl is just perfect. In general, I think nudity, as fine as it is, it's really, I think, more attractive to see a girl in something that's a little, revealing.
You cover up a little, yeah.
At the same time,
yeah, absolutely.
A nice.
Well, I think we lost. Oh, I think we lost. Clayton, sorry, I think we lost. Is he there?
Hey,
yeah.
Am I going to get a prize or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me put you on hold and give you a prize. There you go. Oh, golly, we lost him. Oh, darn, I guess he hung up. And again, I think most people probably agree that, and I'll bet you all women agree, women looking at a naked man's body is probably not as attractive if they, would, anyway, whatever.
Well, how about you spend all that money, because they cost money, these thong bikinis.
Oh, I mean, they're more expensive. Yeah.
And can you imagine the week before the 4th of July weekend or the day before you get a zit on your butt?
Oh, paint the picture.
I'm just saying.
Oh, my God.
You can't wear it.
Where did you come
You have to have a perfect butt to wear those things.
By the way, there's no. I mean, anyway, I don't know. I can't be comfortable. They can't be. Fine to sit down and then get. I don't know. Whatever.
That's why they're always picking at it.
I know. Anyway, 4th of July. You're going to hear a soundbite here from Dave Portnoy, who's very upset and doesn't mind saying that he supports Independence Day, as we all do. The New York Times has the balls to come out on the weekend, the 4th of July celebration over the period of time of the 4th of July, Independence Day celebration. And they interview people who hate what America stands for. They say Independence Day is too controversial. It's not okay to celebrate it. No sparklers for these people. The Sunday New York Times, we should skip fireworks because of their toxic chemicals and sound like gunshots. We should not celebrate this controversial holiday because we are also, black people are here despite America trying to get rid of us to gain their independence. In other words, we white supremacists tried to murder all the black people when we came to these colonies, and that's why Malaya Tapp should not be celebrating Independence Day, perpetual victimhood, and this business. I mean, first of all, it figures that the New York Times, all the news is fit to slant, would come out on this particular holiday, on this Independence Day, with that. And by the way, if you have, excuse me, I think, Pete, you mentioned the other day, wasn't it John Adams or one of the founders said, from now on, from this day forward, our celebration of our Independence Day shall include fireworks and explosions to celebrate what we've done here. Isn't that correct?
That's correct, John Adams.
John Adams. And by the way, you freaking people, well, the explosions, fireworks sound like gunshots. Well, duh, idiot. I mean, oh my God! Oh, say, can you see? I mean, and by the way, until you've seen it in person, bombs bursting in air and the rocket's red glare, it's real.
Let me tell you, as a quote from Joe Dirt. Did you ever see that movie with David Spade?
David
Joe Dirt?
Spade, yeah.
All right, I'm cleaning this up a little bit.
Yes.
You're going to stand there owning a fireworks stand and tell me you don't have no whistling bung holes, no spleen splitters, whisker biscuits, honky lighters, Husker do's, Husker don'ts, cherry bombs, Nipsey daisers, with or without the scooter stick, or one single whistling kitty?
Whatever happened to just old cherry bombs? No, we had cherry bombs were the big one. I mean, that was the explosion.
Oh, no, that was the M80.
Well, that came after the cherry bomb. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm choking up in here. The cherry bombs are first, then the M80s were even more. But we used to get the little teeny... God, I'm so sorry about choking to death here. We used to get what they called lady fingers, and they were little teeny little firecrackers in a string, and we would tape them to people's windows. It said, I mean, it sounded like the whole place is falling apart. Anyway, fireworks.
We used to blow up mailboxes with the M80.
Well, yeah, but again, we used to blow up our toys. We take just for having fun, and we do, God, we used to all kinds of do stupid. We used to take plastic cigar tubes that cigars came in. We'd find them from parents who smoked cigars, and we'd stuff them full of match heads, of the wooden match heads, and make a thing and blow those things. I mean, we used to make our own fireworks all the time. But my point was, the fireworks are an indication of what had to be suffered in order for us to gain our independence. I mean, and again, they were, when you see real bombs bursting and real rockets red glare, and you feel the oxygen being sucked out of your lungs because the pressure is, it's unbelievable. These things are real. And it's by the way, I don't like fireworks. God, yes, I don't like them. I don't go to them. I appreciate them, and God bless them, and I think we need to keep having them because they're important and they do show something. But you have to remember, this was real. And this is why we have our country, because they did that. I mean, people die, by the thousands. Anyway, it's just, we don't want explosives because it sounds like guns. You freaking pansy. And by the way, if she hates this country so much, if we are such a bad country for the way we tried to murder all the black people when we got here, apparently, according to her, why is she still here?
Yep.
Pick a better place. She must wake up every morning, look in the mirror, say she's black, and say, "Oh crap, I hate this freaking country." Well, then go where you love your country. Why wouldn't you go to a place you love and appreciate and feel secure and happy in? Seriously. So you sit here and bitch about it?
Well, she makes money with racism.
Yeah, there you go. Where are you going to make your racist money in any other country? How about going to Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Poland? See if you can start a new social media post to make money on your racism. God, he's freaking entitled, selfish. Oh my God! All right, it's 3:30. Time for the 3:29 break here with a Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, and their son's back there. Look out, we got. Here we go. Look out, 336. It's only the Kimmer. An extra 106.3 with Pete Davis and Flounder at the controls here, the Mechanical Mangler. On this day, 2012, for the second year in a row. Let's play this.
I'm so in love.
Oh, my God.
Sing it, Pete.
In a rich man's house.
I've never heard this song.
Emotional Rescue.
There you go.
Great song. Great song.
This day in 2012, for the second year in a row, Rolling Stones guitarist Ronnie Wood was honored in 2 categories at the annual Arkiva Commercial Radio Awards. The 65-year-old, this is in 2012, the 65-year-old Ronnie Wood won the Specialist Program of the Year Award for his Absolute Radio show, and he saw his weekly guest slot named Best Feature. Absolute Radio Show took the Station of the Year award. I guess it's a local radio thing in Britain or someplace. Anyway, good for you, Ronnie. Let's see, quick birthday. Huey Lewis of the news, 73 today. Heart of rock and roll, want a new drug, hip to be square, heart and soul, power of love, all those great things. Huey Lewis. And again, for the record, I used to use the same dry cleaner Huey Lewis did when I spent 2 years in San Francisco and over in Mill Valley. It was either Mill Valley or Sausalito. I think it was Mill Valley.
Huey Lewis story.
With Huey Lewis, and I had the same dry cleaner. And my other Huey Lewis link is that when the Olympics, 98?
96.
Olympics. And again, we used to work. I used to come in early, do the afternoon show, but I used to have to come in at like 6 o'clock in the morning because traffic and everything couldn't be there. So I was 6 in the morning, and then I go home at 7 o'clock at night. And then, and my final wife said, "Well, Huey Lewis is playing down there. I thought you were going to take me down to Huey Lewis and do that." So I said, "Yes, dear, whatever you like, dear." So I turned around and drove all the way back to the freaking place to go see Huey Lewis, and then, oh my God. And of course, that led to another big fight. And I should have taken the cue instead of wasting 30 years. Oh, sorry. 339 now. And now back to the actual program. Independence Day. And again, the New York Times, just freaking typical. Also, Ben & Jerry's. A quick note here, and you're going to hear a comment where someone who finally is saying it out loud how much they appreciate America. Ben & Jerry's claims again on the 4th of July that the United States exists on stolen indigenous land. Founded on stolen indigenous land, the 4th of July, let's commit to returning it. They want to give back all the land we stole from Fair Square from the Indians.
That makes sense.
They want to start with Mount Rushmore. Ben & Jerry says, what is the meaning of Independence Day for those whose land this country stole, those who were murdered and forced with brutal violence onto reservations, those who were pushed from their holy places and denied their freedom? The faces on this Ben & Jerry, the faces on Mount Rushmore are the faces of men who actively work to destroy indigenous cultures and ways of life, to deny indigenous people their basic rights. The message received mixed responses. Let's make them the new Bud Light. Among the critics, an absolute figure in the wake of Bud Light is country singer John Rich. Yeah, make them Bud Light again. Just when you think Ben & Jerry's couldn't go any lower, they pull this. Donate your business and everything you own in these lands then that rightfully belong to the indigenous people. Apologize to them and give it all back. Give your company back to them and make your ancestors return their continent. Go ahead, start now. I mean, it's unbelievable. These freaking people, first of all, this is ridiculous. Before I get any farther, here's Dave Portnoy. Now, by the way, tell the people who Dave Portnoy is, because I don't know his background as well as you guys have on social media.
He's the president and founder of Barstool Media Sports.
And he was about 2 or 3 years ago. He kind of exploded on the social media scene. I guess probably during the pandemic with Zoom and stuff.
He did more for small businesses. He did a lot for small businesses.
He raised millions of dollars for when they had the pandemic.
$30 million for small business.
As you'll recall, this was probably 2020, I'm guessing, and the businesses were closing down. Nobody go to work. And so he raised, it was $20 or $30 million of just on his own, just going on social media for everybody else, became a huge name. And then I'm trying to remember, there was some kind of scandal involved where they kind of turned on him. Am I right about that, or maybe I'm wrong?
The major media outlets like ESPN and everything, they didn't like him, so they went after him because he spoke his mind, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah, I remember the left mainstream media attacked it.
Something just told me that they also leaked a sex tape.
That's what it was. That's what it was. They tried to destroy
during a deposition, he that went public as well. He pretty much destroyed their lawyers.
Right. And again, it was trying to destroy somebody who cares about America and wants to get us back to normal and stuff, and they went after him. Anyway, here's Dave Portnoy talking about the Independence Day celebration.
Okay, I got to do this real rant. It's 4th of July. Happy birthday, USA. Cheers. The last couple of years, I feel like it's been similar. There's so much division right now in this country. Oh, this country sucks. We don't do this right. We don't do that right. These people don't have these rights, this, that. It's nonstop. Well, let me tell you something. I don't care. Yeah, we're not perfect. Anybody who doesn't think the United States is still the best, most progressive, best place to live in the world is a moron. If you think there's a better country to live in, go live in it. I'm not telling you that you can't complain or try to make changes. That's America. That's the beauty of America. You can say whatever you want. But the people like, oh, this country, it sucks. Like, you take Brittany Griner. She hated America. Then what happens? She's throwing the gulag in Russia for having a vape. Doesn't happen here. People are so quick to say, oh, this country sucks, this, that. It is the best country in the world. Period. Go find me a better one. You won't. You can't. You won't. So I don't care if you like this country, whether you trash this country, just shut up on the 4th of July and thank God you live here. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best country in the world? By a mile. So cheers to every person in this country, all Americans. Cheers. Happy birthday, America. Best country in the world. Sip a high noon. Senoritas, warm breezes. Happy birthday.
Dave Portnoy.
It's got to point out, Americans did not invent slavery, nor did they invent taking somebody else's land. Every square inch of land on this planet has been stolen hundreds of times over by other people, including the Indians that were here before we got here, committed genocide and raped and pillaged and destroyed other people because they wanted their land. We didn't start this.
Yeah, I think that I notice it isn't the Vikings who were forced onto reservations when they got here, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They didn't last long against the Native Americans. Every culture on every landmass on the planet.
And remember who did that to the Indians? Who did that? The federal government of the United States took their guns and killed them, massacred them, and put them on reservations. That's the same federal government that people want us to kowtow and give our guns to now.
Yeah. And again, they broke every treaty. And frankly, it was a Grant. And that when Custer found gold in the Dakotas, Grant said, well, we're going to have to go back on that treaty we made with the Indians. We're going to give them the Dakotas. We're going to have to take that back now. I mean, and frankly, I think it'd be hysterical if there was some way to give it back and say, guess what? You now own both North and South Dakota. the Sioux, Lakota Sioux. Guess what? It's all yours, boys. What are you going to do now? Holy smokes.
Well, they're getting all our money now at the casino.
Yeah, apparently. Anyway, here's the number, 404-741-1230. 741-1230 if you'd like to give us a buzz. And again, are we monitoring YouTube in case you want to guess on YouTube? We'd love to respond to you on YouTube as well. Coming up a little later, we're going to play Pete mentioned this a few days ago, the Paul Harvey commentary on how you would go about destroying America if you were the devil. Well, that's coming up, too. Plus, Donald Trump carving a new one for President White Trash. Standing by, 4:15 with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder on Extra 106.3. Hi, Tito. 349. Look out, there we go. It's only me. It's only the Kimmer with Pete Davis and Flounder, and Sutton's back there, too. Extra 1063, baby. Look out. You know, I really liked a lot of Michael Jackson's songs. And what an entertainer, man. When he came out with that freaking moonwalk, I mean, you know, it was just really, and you look at him, I mean, since he was, what, 7? What was he when he started? 5, 6, 7 years old? 8 years old? Unbelievable. And they killed him by making him be a kid. And what a shame.
He also liked kids a lot.
Well, I think he was. I think he... You know, I don't know. I think he was.
You think the industry did it to him?
I think the whole culture of the way of he was raised as an entertainment prodigy and like a pet. And he never grew. I mean, he never got to grow up. And I'm not sure whether he was a child rapist, but I think he was a fondler. I think he loved to like hug and kiss and be intimate with children because he loved children. But I don't know. I don't know. I think it was kinky, but I don't know because he was never wasn't he? He got away with all of it. He was never convicted. He paid money in a civil suit, as I recall, but I don't think he was ever convicted. Anyway, whatever. I mean, he had great talent. And again, he died stupid, drugs, and a doctor who gave him too much of that white cream stuff that'll kill you. Anyway, Michael Jackson playing us because on this day in 2009, I'm now getting to the point of why we're playing Michael Jackson. Well, I need to come up with a schedule. I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do. I get up in the morning and I try to anyway. Michael Jackson on this day in 2009 began a 7-week run at number 1 on the British charts with The Essential Michael Jackson, one of 8 Jackson albums on the top 20 after his death on the 25th of June. Oh, that's right. He had died 2 weeks before, and then he became number 1. Well, of course, that was going to happen. You knew that. Anyway, Michael Jackson, what a shame. A lot of Whitney Houston. I mean, you can name one after another. Let's see. On this day, this is from Flounder's rather kinky history and a biography guide. Quote, 17 years ago in 2006, ex-Enron CEO Ken Lay avoided at least 25 years in prison by dropping dead. Jeez. Thank you. All right, anyway, it's all the Kimmer, Pete and Flounder, 352. You're going to hear Paul Harvey a little bit later on, and also Donald Trump here in a second. First, a couple things. Secret Service has now confirmed there was cocaine found at the White House on Sunday evening. They did precautionary closures, swarmed the area. Hazmat teams came in. Fire department called in to evaluate the situation. Now, I've heard one report that the minute amount of cocaine was found in an area of the West Wing. They've been saying on public television here and on the news reports that it is an area popularly frequented by guests at the White House.
Sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I also heard a report that said, well, no, it's not really in an area that's known to have people wandering through. And I'll guarantee you're never going to know the truth. I guarantee you they're not going to have a picture of where they found it. They have that. I guarantee you somebody, has gone to that exact spot, but you're never going to see it. I can't believe they're going to show it to us. And I don't believe any of them. And I'll bet it's Hunter's or one of his friends or one of his slut whores coming in to, drop something off for him on the weekend. Because now, Daddy's been protecting him. Daddy's been taking Hunter to freaking Camp David like every weekend for a month or so. As soon as he got hit in the news about all the congressmen coming after him for his banking transactions and the bribes with China and Romania and communist Chinese and so on and so forth. And now Daddy's been taking him every weekend to Camp David. And I'll bet one of his hookers probably left some for him to take with him when he was out in the woods walking by himself so he could snort a little something. I don't think, I don't believe anything anyone in this administration says about anything. Anything, period. And by the way, speaking of Hunter Biden, let's not forget this either. Hunter Biden, who has denied even having a child, a 4-year-old daughter named Navy, and the family we talked about a couple days ago denying that she even has existed. They put a stocking for the dog up at Christmas and not for Navy, Hunter's daughter. Hunter Biden also, in 2018, texted that Jill, his stepmother, was a vindictive moron and entitled C-bomb as selfish and silly as you are. And he wrote that to Hallie. Hallie was his dead brother's widow with whom he was having a sexual affair that when his brother died. So he started having a cheating on his own wife with his dead brother's widow. And then he wrote her. They had a fight with her and said, Jill Biden is an entitled C-bomb, and she's just as selfish and silly as you are, Hallie. And then he said, go blank yourself, Jill. Let's all agree I don't like you any more than you like me. Unquote, Hunter Biden to his stepmommy. Dr. Jill, the cuckold queen. Yes. And by the way, I was reading some articles over the weekend, or over the last couple of days, of the actual grandparents, the maternal grandparents of Hunter's love child, Navy, the 4-year-old girl. And to hear the mother's parents talk about this sweet little girl. She's adorable. She is smart as a whip. She's happy. She lacks for nothing. And they're going to make sure that she has the greatest life ever. And I'm thinking to myself, how the hell is she going to deal with the history of her life? And it's going to take some kind of, I hope there's some kind of already a process of counselors or something to make sure that the family does the right thing so that she doesn't feel any negative. You know what I mean? I don't know how you'd go about this because of the fame and notoriety of Hunter Biden. And that's her daddy, and she'll never see him. And he denies her existence.
The fact that he's not part of her life is probably a good thing, but the fact that she's not part of the Bidens in the long run, just give me the money. She's better off not being anywhere near them.
I know, I agree, but still, I'm trying to think about her growing up, and, where's Daddy? I mean, obviously, she must know now for her 4-year-old brain. They must have told her something about why Daddy doesn't live here with us, and I don't know whether they've told her who he is and where you see he's there in the paper, that's him on TV. I mean, I don't know. Do you do that to a 4-year-old?
No, you don't do that to a 4-year-old.
I mean, in fact, if you've had experience with this kind of thing, I'd love to hear from you on how to deal with his children because of this white trash family. I mean, the whole freaking family's a bunch of damn coward white trash scumbags. Name me one member of the Biden family that's not a slime ball.
Well, the dead one.
The dead one. There you go. And maybe there's a brother somewhere. Maybe one of the granddaughters. Oh, by the way, apparently one of the granddaughters involved with getting money from the Romanian president, Romania or somebody, the millions of whatever of the granddaughter was in school at the time as a student. It wasn't like she needed money. I mean, she didn't know anything about it. So they basically threw her under the bus. Now this granddaughter, who's linked in all these papers. In fact, I saw something the other day about this. What is the story this is going to be? The granddaughter, whose name is in the bank records because she got money from a communist dictator guy in Romania. So her name is on all the bank records that were signaled as dubious by federal authorities. And so her name is in those records. So anytime she applies for a credit card or a bank loan or a car loan, they're going to go through the record and her name is going to go ding, ding, ding that she's been linked to phony bank records of overseas companies involving American and foreign banks. And her name's in there. So now she's going to have to get a lawyer every time she fills out a form to go say, no. She didn't know anything about it. She didn't ask for the money. She didn't even know she was getting the money. She was a student at the time, has no idea of anything. It was just part of their money laundering scheme. And she's innocent of any crime. But now she's in it, whether she likes it or not.
How many little towns in Romania are now without castles that mad scientists can create monsters in now because of her?
That's right. Where are the vampires going to go to stay? Where are they going to hide the extra steaks? I mean, come on, people.
We need pitchforks.
Oh, I have another issue about... I'm almost out of time. I can't believe this. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm
it's a tumor.
It's a tumor. The other day, I mentioned a Dear Abby thing where a 10-year-old a woman works nights and her husband likes to have his friends over while she's working nights as a nurse. And one morning, the 10-year-old told mommy, by the way, when you were gone, Daddy and his friends had some people over and they were sniffing something through a tube on the counter, and I saw Daddy making out with one of the other guy's wives. But I don't want to say anything because Daddy will be mad at me. And now I'm thinking, here's the issue to me. Hold it. And I honestly, this is why this troubled me so much, because there was no answer to it. And I thought, oh my God, you need a follow-up. How is the mother going to handle dumping or confronting the husband without the little girl saying, "Oh my God, I caused daddy to hate me and get a divorce."
Yeah.
So I would assume the mother is going to, well, she can't say, "Well, so my 10-year-old daughter told me you were making out with his way." I mean, she can't, and that poor little girl. And now at some point, if there's a divorce, and there probably is going to be, that little girl is going to take blame for it. She'll never be the same. Daddy hates me because I made him, oh man. All right, 4 o'clock already. Hold on, we got that. And Paul Harvey and Donald Trump is going to talk to you here in a minute. And the stuff, and Pete Davis and Flounder. Look out, here we go. I'm still used to having a news break go like 6 minutes instead of 2.5. So, look out, it's only me. With the Eurythmics, it's only the Kimmer. This is an okay song. Not really rock and roll.
More 80s.
Pop, yeah, kind of adult pop, contemporary kind of deal. The Eurythmics, on this day in 1999, announced their first world tour for more than 10 years, and all the profits would be given to charity. The Eurythmics are a duo. They made the announcement from the Greenpeace boat Rainbow Warrior on the River Thames in London in 1999. Well, thank you for your efforts to clean up the world. Let's see. On this day, we mentioned patriotic stuff and things like that, and it was on this day, 1950. The first American is killed in the Korean War, 1950, this day. A member of a bazooka squad, Private Kenneth Shadrick, cut down by enemy machine gun fire. First American killed in Korean War, 1950. 404-741-1230, 741-1230. Nice to have you with us today. If you want to make a call. Coming up, we'll do I got Pete's tweets a little later on. Skynet update. We got Holy Crap at Sports. And you're going to hear from Donald Trump here in a second. I think this is one of the most important events in our attack on what's happening with the freedom of the press and social media these days. And again, I have more than 1 million times said that I believe the modern cell phone and its link to social media, the modern cell phone is yesterday's cigarettes. Everybody loved them, everybody wanted them, and everybody's dying because of them. Joe Biden, President Crime Family, the head of the white trash family of America, violated the First Amendment during the China kill virus pandemic, and a federal judge, God bless, Louisiana Judge Terry Doughty, I think that's a chick, she has, says the White House coerced and significantly encouraged tech companies to suppress free speech during the COVID-19 pandemic. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre and the Biden cabinet members were told there were several federal officials and agencies from contact. They were told no more contact with social media companies in an effort to suppress free speech. And the judge named Google, Meta, and Twitter. They violate the government's actions, likely violate the free speech clause. The court is not persuaded by defendants' arguments, dealing a significant blow to the White House. The United States government seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian ministry of truth. That's what the federal judge said. If the allegations made by the plaintiffs are true, the present case arguably involves the most massive attack against free speech in United States history. Holy cow! I mean, finally. How long's it been since we were talking about how the media, the left, the mainstream, the drive-by press, and Rush Limbaugh used to call the drive-by media. And we've been talking about this for years now, ever since Donald Trump announced the second time he's actually going to run, 6 years ago now, or 7 years ago, whatever it is. And all of a sudden now, finally, a federal judge is saying, oh, you can't do this. That's what the Nazis did.
The New York Times actually coming out attacking this and promoting censorship. Well, how can the government fight disinformation now? It's not their damn job to fight disinformation. That's not the government's job. And what kills me is that we didn't find it wasn't just misinformation we were getting during COVID from the government. Yeah. They were outright lying. They knew they were wrong, and they were lying about it. Yeah. So we know they're in no shape to tell us what's true and what's not true.
How many times did Fauci say, talk about masks, and then we find out in his own writing, well, masks aren't going to work. We just have to say that because it sounds good. This federal judge said the censorship in this case almost exclusively targeted conservative speech, but it goes beyond party lines. A couple more words. The government must abstain from regulating speech when the specific motivating ideology or perspective of the speaker is the rationale for it. In other words, you can't regulate speech based on the ideology of the person you don't like. It could mean interactions between tech companies and government officials may be significantly limited. Well, there will be exceptions for national emergencies or something like that. But finally, this federal judge, it's an historic step in the continued fight to prohibit our government from unconstitutional censorship. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday, America. We got our First Amendment back. And again, this is, and like Pete said, it's not just the New York Times, it's all of them. MSNBC, CNN. They're actually having commentators right now who are saying, well, how are we supposed to stop the misinformation by Republicans? I mean, they are in favor of censorship of things they don't like, which is censorship by definition. But again, they're all pissed off about that. Like Pete, it's not just the New York Times, it's all of them. Well, how are we going to stop those conservatives from saying what they want to say? Well, how did this happen? I mean, shouldn't the whole country be saying, God bless you, we may not like what you say, but we appreciate the right for you to say? I mean, isn't that like the basic thing?
They've all been taught in the government schools by their socialist teachers that is not the way to think, and that is wrong.
It's just, it's just really hard to...
In fact, coming up in Pete's Tweets, we're going to talk about this from a British viewpoint, and it'll blow your mind of what they think about freedom of speech.
Oh, outstanding. And by the way, it's coming a little bit later about Pete's Tweets. Also, now more and more people are coming out with the comments that President White Trash really is not mentally there. There have been almost one after another gaffe. For example, here's just a few. The other day, President Crime Family claimed that the Russians are at war with Iraq. Of course, it's Ukraine. Putin is clearly losing the war in Iraq. President showers with daughter, told the press pool. On Tuesday, fundraising event in Chevy Chase, he said, if anybody told you we'd be able to bring all of Europe together in the onslaught on Iraq and get NATO to be completely united about Iraq, they would have said it's not likely. Well, of course, his son... not on Iraq at all. Number 3, we have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. Well, of course, there's no such plan. The president, apparently, according to his puppeteers, the president, crime family, was referring to a plan that would connect railroads across the African continent. Well, same. On June 19th, he wanted to conserve 30% of all the U.S. lands and water by 2020. Again, this is a couple of weeks ago. He said, I want to preserve 30% of our land and water by the year 2020. Well, it's already 2023, sir. In Connecticut, University of Hartford, promoting gun control. And he signs off by saying, God save the Queen, man. Well, the Queen's dead. And where did that come from? And his staff, his puppeteer, saying, "Oh, it was kind of a joke to somebody in the audience." Okay, that's the explanation. Number 6, he keeps claiming that his son Bo died in Iraq. Bo died in Bethesda, Maryland, after he got back from Iraq 6 years earlier. He did not die in Iraq. State of the Union address. The president showers with daughter, claimed Putin may circle Kiev with tanks, but he will never again gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. The Iranian people, ladies and gentlemen. Number 8, during his visit to Israel, he said, we must do every day, continue to bear witness to keep alive the truth and honor of the Holocaust. The truth and honor he meant the horror of the Holocaust. Well, they both start with H. Number 9, inquired about the whereabouts of the late Representative Jackie Walorski from Indiana, who died. And he said, is Jackie here? Where's Jackie make it today? She's dead, sir. Just a couple days earlier. And in fact, he had done a tribute to her and had forgotten he had done a tribute to the very woman. He wondered if she was still around when she was dead. Number 10, I'll just stop here. He accidentally endorsed a regime change in Russia when he said, for God's sakes, Putin cannot remain in power. And they go, well, no, that's what the president meant to say. And by the way, let's compare. How many times did the media go after Donald Trump or George W. Bush or H.W. Bush or John McCain? The press, he's way too old. He can't run. He's way too old. They haven't said it about Biden against Donald Trump. They had psychiatrists saying, well, Donald Trump's crazy. He's half crazy and he's not physically fit. He can't hold a glass of water. They went after every other candidate except this one. And maybe now it's beginning to change. 4:13. Hold on. Pete's Tweets coming up. And Paul Harvey standing by with a look at the devil's plans. Next on Extra 106.3. Here we go.
All right, let's try that again.
That sounded great for that commercial. It was perfect. Bump, bump. Bump, bump, bump. And I'll never forget when I came to Atlanta in 1972 and worked at a radio station where the weekend Saturday guy, did a show from 9 to noon, whoever it was, and he was one of the going bump, bump. He was on Elvis's. He was a member of the Elvis and the Hound Dogs or whatever they were. What was the name of his group? Elvis and what?
Okay.
Oh, the Jordanaires. There you go.
Yeah, we did this 2 weeks ago.
I know. But I've heard Elvis, and I remember the story. And I got the biggest kick. The guy's standing there in front of me in the glass, and he sang with Elvis.
My question is, are we going to do this anecdote every time an Elvis song?
Yes, we are. On this day in 1954, Mr. Smarmy Pants, Elvis Presley worked together for the first time in a recording studio on this day in 1954 with Scotty Moore and Bill Black. Elvis started fooling around during a break with an up-tempo version of a song called That's All Right. The producer, Sam Phillips, had them repeat the jam and recorded the whole thing and actually became Elvis's first release on Sun Records, That's All Right, Mama. And it was really just as kind of goofing around, and then they made it a hit. On this day in 1989, a little show called Seinfeld premiered on NBC. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This is that actual song. This is what I meant to play.
Oh, excellent. This was the up version. Ba-da-boo-da-ba-da-boom, ba-ba-boom. All right, anyway, 404, was it 741-1230, 404-741-1230. Now, in case you want to call us. And we're going to do a whole bunch. We're going to do Pete's tweets here in just a second. Also, a lot on social media because of what Elon Musk may have hinted he supports involving how you should be able to vote whether or not you have children. And Meta's got a Twitter killer app, and I'm going to read this thing and see if I can understand any of it coming up. But first, kind of wrapping up the political section here. Don't know whether you heard over the weekend. And by the way, speaking of social media, Donald Trump is no longer on Facebook or Twitter, whatever. He's on Truth Social. In fact, have you checked? Do you ever see that, Flounder? Do you ever look?
I don't ever go on there because at the end of the day, there's always issues with there's always tech issues with that, and people always go back to either Facebook or Twitter at the end of the day.
In fact, I remember getting it on my phone, and I had more trouble trying to just
log in and sign up.
Yeah. Pete, do you ever go to Truth Social?
No.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll talk about it. But here's Donald Trump. Yeah, he had another huge rally. I mean, he's like 30 points ahead of Ron DeSantis in the polls. I guess still early, but still, I think that's telling. Anyway, here's Donald Trump, former president, describing how he feels, and we should all feel, about the current occupant, President Showers with daughter.
I want to see Hunter ask these questions. Hunter, you know nothing about energy. You know nothing about China. You know nothing about anything, frankly. Hunter, you're a loser. Why did you get $1.5 billion, Hunter? And your father was never considered smart. He was never considered a good senator. He was only a good vice president because he understood how to kiss Barack Obama's ass.
And the crowd goes nuts. You know, he always has one kind of bad word in his speeches, and they love it. And again, it's Donald Trump. Now, here we go. I'm going to try to read this and see if I can't understand any part of it. Meta has a new Twitter killer app. Days away from being released, but a cheat code lets you sign up. All right, again, I'm going to read this and hope you understand it. Threads, it's called Threads, a Twitter killer app called Threads. It's closely linked with an account on Instagram, which Meta already owns. To access the cheat code, all you have to do is type Threads or thread, Thread, into the Instagram search bar, and you'll see a small pink ticket emoji saying Admit 1. Click on the ticket will bring up an animation of a revolving promo card with the Threads logo on one side and your Instagram username on the other. A timer counts down the seconds until Threads is released at 3 p.m., 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday, July 6th, which is tomorrow. A QR code under your username can be scanned to take you to Threads on the App Store. Well, it goes on to down. Communication together, discuss topics through, here we go. There's a button at the bottom to tap to set a reminder when the app comes out. Threads is a free app that's being described by Meta as a place where communities come together to discuss topics through text, which sounds rather a lot like Twitter. Threads, he says, is where communities come together. Will be trending tomorrow. Whatever it is you're interested in, you can follow and connect directly with your favorite creators and others who love the same things, or build a loyal following of your own to share your ideas, opinions, and creativity with the world. It could prove a masterstroke from Meta because it will let users bypass a lot of the effort involved in signing up to a new app. That's because anyone who already has an Instagram account will be given a Threads account with the same username. Instagram already has more than 2 billion active users. Oh, my God. 2 billion users active worldwide who have already handed over their details for the sign-up process. Rival Twitter has just under 400 million. A long way from 2 billion, according to analytics firm so-and-so. And Elon Musk may be genuinely worried, they say. Musk has been dismissive of Twitter rivals, including Mastodon, which saw dramatic peaks in new subscribers after Musk's Twitter takeover. Threads could be a different kettle of fish because it's backed by the multi-billion-dollar heft of Meta, which owns Facebook and WhatsApp, as well as Instagram.
The same thing that gave us the metaverse that nobody uses.
Well, it's been nicknamed the Twitter killer online amid animosity between the rival billionaires who've said they would like a cage fight with a Musk appears to be repeatedly urging Twitter users to delete their Facebook accounts, calling the social network lame. Okay, anyway, I don't know what this means. Is this a thing or is this a thing?
What this is basically Mark Zuckerberg wanting to take over all your means of communication and all the information avenues that you can get. You do not, whether you like Twitter or not, you do not want Twitter to go away because then Zuckerberg runs everything.
It's a monopoly. And by the way,
he's Bill Gates. He's evil. He's just plain evil.
Well, look at his face. He's not from this world. I guarantee you, he looks like the creatures. If you're going to have a Martian, he would be it. He'd be the guy coming down from the Close Encounters of the Third Time rocket ship.
A pod person. Yeah.
Unbelievable. But again, I don't. Is this a danger? Are they going to take your information? I mean, I don't know what this means. You get the app, and then if you have an app on your phone, then what? It can collect everything? Is this like TikTok?
And another thing, that 2 billion number is a crock of you-know-what.
Really? You think it's not?
Oh, please. It's not even near that. No, that's another lie from Zuckerberg. Now, I mean, they may end up killing Twitter. If it is, that'll be a horrible thing because you need competition. And if it kills Twitter, what's left? Well, nobody uses Truth Justice. It's just whatever it's called, Truth Social. It's a stupid name. No, I mean, please. And the Mammoth thing, Mastodon. Okay, what's it doing now? It was great a few months ago. What's it doing now?
I don't know. I can't.
Yeah, no one talks about it. All right, except liberals.
Well, okay, but again, I don't. Every day, once a day, maybe twice a day, I begin kind of forgetting. I'll go to my Twitter app button and I'll push it on and I'll see what's going on. I'll see if anybody's doing stuff that I have any interest in or something. But that's all I ever do. I've never put anything on Twitter. I've never responded on a Twitter feed or something. I look at it and see if there's anything in there and then talk about it if I so choose. So I'm not a Twitter guy. But what's the difference? Why would someone on Twitter, now you guys are Twitter guys, why would you want to not use Twitter and instead go to the thread thing? What's the difference?
The difference is that Zuckerberg is appealing to the liberals is what he's doing with this. And the bad thing about Elon, the one thing I'll criticize Elon, he keeps making these little changes or big changes to Twitter, and he doesn't explain them beforehand. He just surprises everybody with them, and it pisses off even the conservatives. He's got to really start explaining this thing, like this what is it called, where you can only watch so many tweets or look at so many tweets. Where did that come from? Please.
Well, he's trying, we talked about it, I think, on Monday, he's trying to make sure that people don't fish for your information by going to 10,000 Twitter searches trying to get stuff off you.
Yeah, he needed to explain that before he did it because no one knew what was going on.
Yeah, but again, my basic question is, if you go on Twitter to see what people are saying about a time, I mean, that's why people go on Twitter, to see what people are saying about something, right? I mean, that's okay. What's the difference? Why would you then want to go to the Meta one? Are they going to have different people, or I mean, why would people on Twitter now want to go to the liberal one? If it is liberal one, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know why anyone does anything that has Zuckerberg's name on it. I have no idea.
In fact, I heard Neil Bortz talking this morning. He's dumping Facebook entirely.
Well, it's a generational thing at this point. I keep it because it helps with the show and everything, and it helps with HCIS. But other than that, I've gotten rid of it 3 times. And if I do it again, it's never coming back.
Well, of course, they screwed us on our podcast Facebook page. And again, I have a personal Facebook page, but the only thing I do on it, I mean, I look at it when I open my phone. It shows what people are doing. But I post my horsey videos when I go on the weekends, and then I save some to post during the week. And I put on horse videos, and that's all I ever do on Facebook. Other than I don't react very often. But anyway, so I know I'm not one of those guys. But I don't know what this. I really don't know what this means, or if it's a. Why would Twitter be in danger? In other words, would it be easier to communicate going to the meta thing, or you still just look on your phone and hit a button and see what they're saying, right? I mean, it's not different or easier in trying to look up stuff, right?
You know what? They've made it so convoluted now.
I don't even forget. I don't even give a crap anymore. One thing about, speaking of Elon Musk, though, did you hear about this? Elon Musk, now the liberal people are saying, well, the Tesla co-founder apparently thinks that if you don't have a child, you shouldn't be able to vote. What happened was there was a Twitter thread that pinned the spread of Islam in France on, quote, the white female vote. And over the weekend, people are saying the childless have little stake in the future. Democracy, this is what Elon Musk said, democracy is probably unworkable long-term without limiting suffrage to parents. One user wrote, it helps solve the procreation problem, too. And Musk said, yup. He has 10 children, by the way, 9 of them living, which I don't know why they say that. He says population collapse is a major risk to the future of civilization. Low birth rates is a much bigger risk to our lives than global warming. And now they're saying if you don't, now the spread of Islam in France, they're saying the reason is white females, and it ought to be in the future, they're saying maybe we only should allow people to vote if they have kids. Because if they don't have kids, they don't have the same thoughts of responsibility for the future as families do. And now they're trying to say Elon Musk says if you don't have kids, you shouldn't be able to vote. He's not really saying that, but again, now what do you think about that? That'll never happen, of course.
Yeah, Bort's always said you had to own land before
property
you could
owners.
vote,
Well, yeah,
which is funny.
Yeah, of course. Well, now at one point that actually made some sense, but again, you can't do that anymore. Hold on, it's 4:30 already. Pete's tweets coming up next on 106.3 with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, and Sutton's back there too. Look out. I remember this song, Janet Jackson. 1986. Big day for her. Rock and rollin'. Sing me, Janet. Man, it's got a beat to it. Good man. 1986, Janet Jackson started a 2-week run at number 1 in the U.S. album chart with Control. The hit singles including Nasty, What Have You Done For Me Lately, Control, When I Think of You, and Let's Wait a While. Janet Jackson, 1986. There we go. Let's see, on this day in history, 1947, Larry Doby signed a contract with the Cleveland Indians, becoming the first black player in the American League. The Indians retired his number in 1994. Pete, do you remember Larry Doby's number?
I never called him.
Number 5. I didn't know. It's number 14. I wouldn't know from Adam Southgate.
I thought you meant phone number.
There you go. Anyway, okay. Hi, it's only me. By the way, we got a bunch of comedy bits. In fact, let's do that. We got Pete's tweets coming up. I've been lackadaisical. I don't know what's going on with my head. I'm trying to get organized here. We Flounder's funny. Can you pick one out there, Flounder, and entertain us here for a minute or two?
Sure. This one right here is the gentleman we played Friday that you like so much, Andrew Schultz.
Excellent.
So let's get him ready here.
Okay.
You guys have heard of Christopher Hitchens? He wrote a book called God Is Not Great, which they sell at the airport. I saw a guy buying that shit at the airport. I went up to him. I was like, arrival or departure, homie? I need to know. I need to know if you're going to my city, so I got to buy 3 Bibles to balance this whole shit out. Anyway, so Christopher Hitchens, what he would do for a living, he would go around the world giving speeches about how God doesn't exist. And then he died recently. And you want to know what he died from? Vocal cord cancer. That sounds a lot like God going...
A very funny guy. What's his name again?
Andrew Schultz.
Andrew Schultz. There you go. Anyway, a couple quick things. We're going to do Pete's tweets here in just 1 second. A couple of other things in the news which are rather bizarre. California, they've been talking with their reparations task force, and now they've come up with a plan in their final report. The California Reparations Task Force says discrimination has torn African-American families apart, and the effect of the harms caused by the disproportionate amount of African-Americans who are burdened with child support debt. The reparations in California say the 10% interest that the state charges on back child support hinders the guy's ability to finance further education, hinders job training, hinders finding employment, and hinders maintaining housing because of the legal consequences of not paying child debt. Therefore, the task force, this is hysterical. The Task Force Reparations Force recommends the legislature enact a law to terminate all interest accrued on back child support, requiring only the payment. However, it also allows for compromise and forgiveness of child support debt entirely based solely on a parent's financial circumstances and ability to pay. So here's what they're saying in California. Okay, first of all, the reason why the mothers are not getting their child support is because the black guys are abandoning their families. And now the law in they want a law in California to say, okay, you black guys, if you keep again, they're specifically for the African-American family. So it's not me saying it's only black guys. They're saying it's black guys. So the California people are now saying, okay, black guys, tell you what. We know you're going to ditch your baby mama. So from now on, it's only fair because of your past reparations against you. It's only fair now if you ditch your baby mama, we'll give her the money. Don't worry about it. You don't have to pay it after all. You don't pay the interest, you owe a penalty. And for that matter, if you don't have any money, we'll go ahead and pay her. So advance notice to all the brothers in California. If you knock that chick up, you don't have to pay for it. The reparations people say they'll do it for you. Oh, my God.
Yeah, more money for malt liquor.
Did they just not think of the consequence? It would be like saying, well, it's okay now to knock her up and leave her? We'll take care of her?
Yeah.
This was the LBJ business back in the Great Society in the 60s,
yeah.
Where all of a sudden what he basically made was plantations, where he made public housing plantations that were so dangerous the cops wouldn't go in there, and it was not the way to take care of the poor people of society to put them on plantations where the cops wouldn't go in. I mean, this is unbelievable. All right, you guys, if you knock her up, you don't have to pay anymore. We'll take care of it because he passed injustice.
This is an extension of what New York Democratic Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan warned about in the 60s. He says if we pass this great society in the welfare state, it will destroy the nuclear black family. And he was absolutely correct.
And by the way, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, if you're not of a certain age, you may not have even heard the name. He was a liberal force.
Yes,
but he was the old liberal. He was again the liberal you're not seeing today. Those guys are gone. Which is kind of a shame because at least you knew they really didn't hate their country like they seem to now and try to destroy it from within, which makes sense. But it was like, and the Republican had, William Buckley, remember that guy? I mean, again, but they were kind of the original, conservative and liberal viewpoints, which we're not seeing today, which is kind of weird. Anyway, that's what's going on in California. And one more thing, speaking of wokeness that's going on in our world today, the largest teachers union in America, the NEA, is now recommending that teachers include the book Gender Queer on summer reading lists. Let's see. The White Fragility is recommended, a book that insists the white Americans use anger, shame, and guilt to avoid taking responsibility for their racial inequality. Also, books to celebrate or help you understand Juneteenth. Gender Queer is recommended as reading. They declare that racial and social justice is a pillar of the National Education Association effort. So here we go. The pillar of education is racial and social justice. For us at the NEA, quote, educational justice must be about racial justice. It must be about social justice. It must be about climate justice. It must be about all of those things, said Becky Pringle, the president of the NEA. We have to necessarily talk about housing justice, food inequality, and the reality that we are all going through a global pandemic together, and it was the most marginalized communities who were suffering the most of inequities in every single social system. They're not talking about reading, writing, and arithmetic even at all anymore.
And it was the teachers that decided to stay on their lazy asses on the beach and not go back, even when the CDC scientific panel said it was okay for the kids to go back to school and they had minimum danger to the teachers and the adults. And it was the NEA and other people like that, the teachers' unions, that said, no, we don't want to go back. They pressured the White House. The White House called their political director, Walensky, at the CDC, and she overrode her own scientific panel who said it was okay for the kids to go back to school. This is what I've been railing about since the 90s. I'm so tired of it. We're going to help the teachers, Screw the teachers. The teachers of what ruined this country with 40 years of teaching every kid in a government school to hate themselves, their color, their culture, their language, their history, their God, their family. It's the teachers that have been the problem since the 1970s.
And let's remember where this went. The teachers, trying to protect themselves and protect their socialist agenda, then went to the White House. And the White House, with the Department of Justice, got the FBI to start monitoring and talking about white supremacists and the most dangerous people at school board meetings were white men and families and so forth. So not only did the teachers do what Pete just mentioned, they went so far as to get the Department of Justice involved in condemning parents who care about what you're teaching in schools. Talk about not doing the 3 R's. Holy crap. It's 4:46. Time for the 4:45 break. Yeah, that's what I thought. 4:49. I got. I'm gonna dig you, baby. Jimi Hendrix was on this day in 1966. On the recommendation of the Rolling Stones' Keith Richards' girlfriend, a guy named Chaz Chandler from the Animals went to see Jimi Hendrix play at the Cafe Wha in New York City. Chandler suggested that Hendrix really should come to England, which he does, and then Chandler became his manager. 1966, that's when it started. Let's see, quick historical note there. Today, the United States Secret Service is investigating Hunter Biden's cocaine packet. Apparently, one of his whores left for him in the White House. Possibly, could be one of the scenarios. I will take that as much as anything else. That's my opinion, therefore I can use it as a fake news person. On this day in 1865, the United States Secret Service was created as part of the Treasury Department. The Secret Service was actually established to stop counterfeiting. It was running rampant after paper money was introduced after the Civil War in 1865. Today, the Secret Service investigates crimes like credit card fraud, but it wasn't until the assassination of President McKinley in 1901 that their duties were expanded to protect the president, vice president, and their families. And now they're investigating Hunter's cocaine, which could have been Jill, could have been Dr. Jill's. As we know, she's the cuckold queen, and maybe when she started cheating on her husband with Senator Joe, I don't know whether maybe they were getting high together. Who knows? Maybe I don't know. Who's to say? We could speculate.
Well, they say it's the highest office in the land.
By the way, there are new rules coming out to take the citizenship test. And we'll talk about that in a second. First of all, we haven't done Pete's tweets. Flounder, let's do it. See, Pete, if you got a couple of tweets here, let's see if we have a little musical introduction. I didn't give him enough time to find it. It says tweet. We got tweets. We're on social media. Yeah, we got Facebook. We got Twitter. We got tweets. We got Pete. Hell, we got Pete's tweets.
The Babylon Bee headline reads,
yes.
Spooked by fireworks, Biden pees on carpet, disappears in woods behind White House. They also report that the British Parliament has formed a July 4th commission to investigate colonial insurrection. All right, here's what I teased earlier about the British opinion on First Amendment.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Prince Cuckold, otherwise known as Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, says America's First Amendment is bonkers and that he doesn't understand it. So Walkaway tweeted back, a literal duke born into unfathomable wealth and privilege whose job is waiting for his parents to die has thoughts on your rights. To which Liberty Cappy tweeted, pretty sure Americans settle what they think of British opinions on July 4th, 1776. I mean, it's the First Amendment that allows him to publish a book trashing his parents.
Yeah, right. Here on American soil, yeah.
Tom tweets, good show the other day, well blended, love the fill-in sounds and music. You guys are back in your groove.
Oh, my gosh. What a nice thing to say.
Thank you. Fights and Wild Content tweets, the video of the Civil War in France showing a man standing in the middle of the street. A motorcycle comes screaming past him. Have you seen this one?
No, I have not.
The man then jumps up in the air like he's skipping a rope, all right? Lands on his feet. Why did he jump? Because the motorcyclist was dragging a chainsaw on a rope behind him and swung it at the guy.
Holy moly. But first of all, how do you drag a chainsaw behind you and swing it while you're riding a motorcycle?
Well, if you turn the corner, the rope swings behind you.
Oh, it's like playing on a ski boat, like water skiing. Oh, man. He did it. So was he doing it to cut into the people? I mean, is that
yes.
Oh, my God. Wait, but by the way, who would have thought of that? Hey, I know, Billy. Let's get a motorcycle and have a chainsaw behind it, drag it with a rope, and when we turn corners, it'll slice the crowd's legs off. Hey, that sounds like a great idea. Let's see if
usually you have to be drinking a couple PBRs down near Waycross to come up with an idea like that.
I was going to say that's like Billy Carter or something.
Yeah. Hold this.
Hold my beer.
The Columbia Bugle tweets, the biggest lie of mass immigration is that most of those people are coming to your country because they want to be part of your culture. They're not coming to join you. They're coming to take what your fathers built.
Yeah. for their own without having to do anything.
Well, they're saying it out loud. You know, when the trannies screaming that we're coming for your children?
Yeah.
Now you have the Algerians and the Muslims in France going, we're only here for the welfare. We're here to take over. This is revenge. They're just saying it out loud now.
Yeah. And whatever happened a couple of years ago, France banned women wearing burqas. It banned face coverings.
They don't care. That didn't have any effect at all.
Exactly the opposite. They're saying you don't have a right now to complain about Muslims. I mean, it's something's happening.
Well, it's their own fault. Bernie Sanders tweets, in my view, if the right-wing Supreme Court justices want to make public policy, they should quit and run for political office. To which Dr. Jordan B. Peterson replied, in my view, if multimillionaires want to be socialists, they shouldn't own more than one house.
Yeah, how many has he got? He just got a new beach house, didn't he, recently?
Yeah, at least 4. And a Subway sandwich shop in Rincon, Georgia. I don't know where Rincon is. Anybody have any idea where that is?
Oh, I know that name. I think it's down near Madison, but that may not be right.
Well, they took down its road sign, which read, our subs don't implode.
Oh, I saw that. Man, that's cold. Man, that is real cold. Oh, my God. Our subs don't implode?
It's as cold as that sub was.
Oh, man. I saw that.
And finally, when we came on the air at 3 o'clock, Fox News, it's just not Fox News, it's all the news, told a story about some guy up there in D.C. area named Ontario. They had his name, they had his whole background about he may be a danger, he may do this. If they let him out, he could be a danger to society.
Yeah.
It's a perfect good story.
Yeah.
But the last story they did, and it's not just Fox doing this, was the mass murder in Philadelphia where 5 people were killed, including children. Did you hear about that?
Yes, indeed.
Did you hear who they've arrested?
Wasn't it a cop-hating liberal?
No. It's a tranny Black Lives Matter activist, and Fox didn't mention their name nor their background or any of the ABC, MSNBC. Nobody's mentioning that, but they mentioned the other guy. He may be a supremacist.
What? But they didn't mention the tranny?
No, he's a transsexual Black Lives Matter activist. He killed 5 people, allegedly, and you didn't hear the name, nor did you. The only reason I know about it is Andy Ngo, NGO, I forgot how you pronounce it, Andy Wo or something, on Twitter pointed out who it was.
Holy smokes. That's the news.
Yeah, that was the last story of the 3 o'clock news, though.
Holy, yeah, but again, that issue, it's like saying, well, today there was a bank robbery and one person got shot, and then it turns out today there was a bank robbery done by Joe Biden, who shot a guy when he fled out the back door. He left out the important part about what the significance was. A tranny went on a rampage. Don't you think that's significant, given what's going on with the talk about trannies all of a sudden lately? And again, here we go. Let's hear the manifesto from the earlier girl thought she was a boy killing the children.
They're the danger, not us.
Holy crap. How could a news organization not mention that part of it? I mean, if you, again, they want to be singled out as an entire entity, as a demographic now, well, then let's not leave them out of the demographic of murderers.
Doesn't fit their narrative.
Exactly. But again, if you want to be a demographic, bing ding, you just got it. You're now the tranny killers.
The media is protecting certain classes of people in this country, and we all know who they are.
This is unbelievable.
And it was wrong when they did it for white people in the past.
It's wrong. Always wrong. I mean, it's always wrong. The truth is the truth. Information's information, and if you try to milk it one way or the other, then you're not being honest. That's all we want. Hell, Thomas Jefferson said, the more information you have, the more available to you, the better choices you're going to make, the better decisions you'll make. If you start censoring stuff like we're seeing now, we have never gone through this in America.
No.
We've never had this.
Where you had the liberal press actually worshiping censorship.
But I think, my friends, I'm old enough to I'm no cultural scientist, but I'm telling you, this is true. I've been a newsman for almost 60 years. This has never happened in America.
This will hurt the government's ability to stop disinformation. That's what the New York Times op-ed piece said.
Yeah. They complain that the federal judge said that Biden was controlling information and censorship, and they're complaining, well, he really should because there are too many Republicans getting their viewpoints out there. Oh, my God. I mean, shame, shame isn't enough. They need to be, taken away from any responsibility. Anyway. All right, hold on, pal. Holy crap at sports. Also more comedy bits, flounders, funnies, and Paul Harvey on what the devil would do. I think he's pretty much a Democrat. All coming up. It's 5 o'clock. Herpin' and Hoeing with a Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder, and Sutton, too. Look out. Here we go. Let's get it together, ladies. Left shoulder, right a blank. Ready on your dog. Target. Look out. It's only me. It's only the Kimmer. An extra 106.3 with Pete Davis, sidekick producer and sports raconteur extraordinaire, and the mechanical mangler at the controls, Flounder. And our intern Sutton is back to do. Pete, when's your next Holy Crap at Sports podcast, by the way, offhand?
Probably tomorrow or Friday.
Okie dokie. Are you still doing a couple a week? when you get to
Yes.
it? Yeah, forget it. Anyway, we'll set the stage. What's going on here? You're going to hear some from a little Paul Harvey bit, which we think is pretty appropriate for what's going on today. Also, some Flounders funny, some comedy bits, and I'm going to reset the stage of a couple things we talked about earlier in case you just got out of work and want to know what's going on. I hope your 4th of July Independence Day celebration over the weekend, and maybe if you had Monday off too, was a good one. And apparently, I guess there's worse traffic coming back today than there even was perhaps leaving on last week. Anyway. Independence Day. We just think it's appalling that the New York Times came out with a commentary that basically said it's too controversial to have Independence Day celebrations. It's not okay to celebrate. For one thing, the fireworks sound like guns. We don't want to have anybody sound the toxic chemicals and gun sounds. And it's controversial because all the black families were used for all the Americans trying to get rid of all the black families when they gained their independence, and on and on and on. I mean, it's just freaking appalling. Ben & Jerry's went out of their way to say we should, first of all, eliminate the entire Mount Rushmore. Our land was founded on stolen indigenous land. The 4th of July, let's give it back to the Native American Indians. The faces are men who work to destroy indigenous cultures and ways of life and deny indigenous people their basic rights, on and on and on. And so reacting to that, I mean, it's just, give me a break. If you really hate, it's bad enough that you have, I mean, we all know nobody's perfect. The country's not perfect, obviously. Duh. So what? That's not the point. But if you really, if you hate your country, that's one thing. But if you're trying to destroy it, if you're trying to change it to what you think would be better in your opinion, then you're going to have a problem. I mean, sorry, we're not with you on this. To make Ben & Jerry's Bud Light again. And somebody had a great suggestion. Well, if you really feel that way, Ben & Jerry, then why don't you donate your business and everything you own that rightfully belongs to the indigenous Indian people and apologize to them and give it back? Which I think is a great idea, by the way.
Yeah, they start at home. Charity starts at home.
That's right. And the other big story, of course, in case you just joined us, and the word came out a couple of days or over the last day or so, the White House now, Secret Service does say, yes, that white powder was cocaine in actually it's cocaine hydrochloride, apparently, stated according to the test results, which is basically cocaine, and sometimes it's used for different purposes, but it has the same effect as crack cocaine. It can be an anesthetic or control bleeding, but cocaine hydrochloride is basically crack cocaine, and it was found in. Now, the White House is going out of its way, the podium princess, Shirley Temple, going out of her way to say, well, it was in a heavily traveled area. I don't believe her. I think you're a liar. I think you're a dirty, stinking liar. In fact, I'll bet it was Dr. Jill's cocaine, the cuckold queen, who was probably leaving it for when she was having, she's having an affair with Hunter to try to make him feel better about all the unwanted attention he's been giving on him. And when Daddy takes Hunter to Mount Rushmore, to what we call Mount Rushmore in the woods, or what do they call it? The place where they go.
Camp David.
Camp David, same thing. When he takes him to Camp David. So Jill, Dr. Cuckold, and Hunter can have their affair on the side, just snorting a little cocaine possibly in the woods on one of their nature walks or something. I mean, that's a likely scenario. Could happen. Well, it could happen. Who are we to say that it's not Dr. Cuckold and her son having an affair, stepson having an affair? Because we know they hate each other. We know that's a sign they're trying to hide their love.
Got an update on the story we were just talking about.
All right, sorry. Now we got Chuck is coming up too. Hello, Chuck. Hold on. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Talking about the Philly shooting where 5 people shot, and they were just not mentioning the name or the fact that it's probably a tranny with BLM background. Yeah. So I just looked up 2 stories. CNN starts out by basically trying to say that he's a Second Amendment nut. He's a gun nut. So I got about halfway through, and I saw I can't read this anymore, so I switched over to Newsweek. And Newsweek starts off, their main take they took out of this was that he was a pro boxer at one point.
Oh, my God.
And then halfway down the story, buried deep in the story, it mentioned something about the fact, well, he had some Facebook posts that may have been pro Black Lives Matter. And then after that, it says there's some photos that maybe he was wearing a dress a time or two.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the important part is that he was a boxer, because it's kind of an anti-boxer story. Clearly, you boxers are going on murdering people every 4th of July. We're sick of it. I mean, come on, you bastards. Most of you middleweights. Middleweight, lightweights. Jeez,
Well, the tranny's a featherweight.
yeah, there you go. Oh my God! All right, hold everything. We got so much coming up, but I want to honor our phone calls here. Excuse me. Here's Chuck. What's up, Chuck? Here on 106.3 with the Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. What's going on, man?
Hey, Kimmer, you've been back on the radio now for a month, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I called you a long time ago and told you I was a permanent road guard.
I remember that. Road guards out.
You have yet to let the road guards out.
I was when I started saying it's only me, it's only the Kimmer, I realized, hell, I didn't say road guards out, and you're absolutely right. It's been, that's so funny because it was part of my thing for years, and then and now we're all doing it. Well, Chuck, you're right, man. Road guards out, and again, that was, I guess suppose everywhere, but at Paris Island, when you're marching and you're running whatever in the streets, road guards. They say road guards out, and the road guards have to block the traffic from driving while you're running through the Paris Island.
Yeah,
anyway,
that wasn't a problem. My problem was doing that shuffle, and I could never really. That shuffle killed me. So let me run ahead. Let's see. The other thing is when you guys did the town hall.
Yeah.
I was the clown that gave you a pin with those famous 9 words nobody wants to hear.
Oh, I remember that. I remember. In fact, my cousin and his wife were there, Jeff and his lovely bride, and I remember, a couple of guys showed up in our T-shirts. That was fun.
Yeah.
The 9 words. Tell the 9 words.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
There you go. Ronald Reagan made him famous, and Chuck will too. Thank you, Chuck.
Glad you guys are back on the radio.
Thank you, sir. You're very kind. I appreciate it. Road guards out. And then back in again, of course, 510. Here on 106.3. Now, let's see. Again, Secret Service found there was cocaine, and then the big story, and again, we mentioned earlier, the liberals are complaining about this federal judge. Thank God this woman, Terry Doughty from Louisiana. The White House coerced and encouraged tech companies to suppress free speech because of the China kill virus. Simple as that. The press secretary lied. The cabinet members lied. Google, Meta, and Twitter were all named in the lawsuits violating free speech. The government assumed a role similar, quote, to the Orwellian Ministry of Truth. This is a federal judge saying it, and the liberals are going nuts, saying, oh, wait a minute, we need to have a truth censorship person to stop all those conservatives from saying stuff we don't want you to hear. I mean, they're saying it out loud. They need a censor. I don't know where to go with this. I mean, they're saying it out loud. Do we have to believe them? 5:11. How long is the Paul Harvey bit offhand, Flounder? But may do it a little
over 2 minutes.
Okay, maybe we'll do it after the next break. We got Holy Crap at Sports coming here. Have we got a little comedy bit? We got a couple left over. Can we do one here?
Yes, we did.
Little Flounders.
This is an old classic right here.
Excellent. Here we go.
Well, I'm not trying to make fun of world hunger. Matter of fact, I think I have the answer because I spent a lot of time working it out. And if you want to stop world hunger, stop sending them food. Don't send these people another bite, folks. You want to send them something, you want to help, send them U-Hauls. Send them U-Hauls, some luggage, send them a guy out there that goes, hey, we've been driving out here every day with your food for like the last, 30, 40 years. And we were driving out here today across the desert, and it occurred to us there wouldn't be world hunger if you people would live where the food is! This is sand. It's sand. You know it's going to be 100 years from now, huh? It's going to be sand! We'll make one trip. We'll take you to where the food is. Deserts in America. We just don't live in a
Sam Kennison, 5:13. Hold everything. Holy Crap at Sports is next. And also Paul Harvey and the Devil introducing us all coming up on 106.3. Here we go. Look out. Birthdays, Goose Gossage. What a closer. 72 today. Shoshani Shohoni Otanatani, 29. And now, towel. Fastball. How about a call, ref? Holy crap. It's sports with Pete Davis.
You know, Goose Gossage always got coffee.
He always got coffee?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Coffee's for closers.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes, it was almost like I'm there with Jack Lemmon, ladies and gentlemen, right there on Broadway. I swear to God. Face for closers.
Yeah.
Sprinkles are for winners. What's you've never seen that?
I've never seen.
It's
Glenn
different.
Gary, Glenn Ross.
Well, it's different. I mean, you probably enjoy it because of it's a lot, but it's kind of it's like an old fashioned black and white Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf almost kind of a deal.
Okay.
Kind of
I probably would like it. You know what? Sports is short today, so if you want to play Paul Harvey right after this, probably have time.
Whatever you want, sure.
All right. Because basically the Braves lost in 10 innings last night. The 9-game winning streak is over. They lost 6-5. But, it's better than losing 10-0.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
They're still in there.
Yeah.
They got the rubber game tonight up there in Cleveland. You got Cal Quantrill. I hope I pronounced that right. Quantrill for the Guardians, sorry.
Yep,
and against Michael Soroka for the Bravos. He's 1-1 with the ERA over 6, but he was really good the last time he was out there, so we'll see if Soroka can continue that. Other than that, there's really not a whole bunch going on in sports, to tell you the truth. We're kind of winding down to the All-Star break, and all that's going on, and college football is kind of quiet right now, too. NFL's kind of quiet, so not a lot going on.
I saw that the loudmouth on ESPN was talking about the guys getting fired and how they're, everybody's 20 people.
Oh, and he made it about himself and race, too.
To Stephen A. Smith? Was that the guy?
If you're a black man like me, you can never take anything for granted. I could be next. He's making $12 million a year. He's probably the number one or number two reason those people got fired.
Yeah. Well, why do you say that? Because he's making more money?
$12 million a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and they couldn't afford anybody else.
Yeah, well, they got rid of the white girl, Susie Colbert, only making $3 million.
Well, you go woke, you go broke, and they're going broke.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. Disney, their movies are sucking right now.
Also, Disney, do you see that they just lost their bond rating or their investment rating? The company that does the rankings of whether you should buy stock or not says don't buy Disney. Wow. Holy cow, who'd have thought I'm a kid who grew up watching Walt Disney, on every Sunday with the family. I'm laying on the floor of the living room watching the black and white TV.
So does DeSantis use that?
Well, I think
he's been getting hammered. He's been getting hammered in the press about his battle with the ongoing battle with him and Disney.
Well, I don't think he should make this a major thing. I mean, I think this is part of his, going back to non-woke.
I think most people agree with.
Yeah, I think most people agree too. I don't think. I think he should make it part of his, woke goes to die in Florida. I think he should keep doing that. I don't think he should make a whole thing about I went after Walt Disney. But again, he should use it. It's obviously one of his stands that he stands for not going woke. So that's a huge issue for him. And again, you said don't buy Disney. Yeah.
They just pulled out a huge. It was basically a pole dancing thing that was going on in Orlando, a national convention
of
trannies and pole dancing, and they literally pulled it out of Florida because of his law saying that children can't be at those places. And they were not only going to have children there to watch them, they were going to have children participating in the pole dancing.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason for that is for sexual perversion for adults.
It's to try to if you don't want to call it grooming, then you can call it and maybe pick a different word. But the only explanation is that they want Americans to not be, 1, offended, or 2, shocked, or 3, in any way troubled by having men in dresses and dancing and pole bumping and bondage and all. Try to make it more of a part of America, so no one's overreacting to it, so it's part of our mainstream lifestyle. And when you do that, then you're allowing people to say, oh, well, that's fine, and we can try this. It's
What's the next step?
It's grooming. I mean, it's allowing people to say, oh, that's no big deal anymore.
It's not exercise for the kids. It's not some part of a dance class. Yeah. If they're spinning around on a pole, that is for the sexual pleasure of the perverts that are there.
Yeah, I don't know what other way to say it. 422. How about, should we do Paul Harvey? Again, Pete, tell the story about, we've been doing this for years and years off and on. I haven't heard it in decades, but this is a Paul Harvey bit that's pretty important these days.
Yeah. I heard it. I heard about 20 years ago, and it's from the 1960s during the Vietnam War and all the hippy-dippy and the revolution talk and all that stuff. And that's back in the troubled time of the 60s, where now we're worse now, I think, than we were back then. And Paul Harvey came out on this show and said, look, if I was the devil and I wanted to destroy the greatest country in the world, this is how I do it.
If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness. And I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted, until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
I could lure you into bed. I could undress you. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, of course, all those, remember, no more prayer in school, no more putting your hand over your heart when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, because you don't have to say it anymore and things like that.
And the media fanning the flame.
Yeah, that's right. Well, again, it all started with the media. They took Hollywood and the press and advertising and TV and radio and magazines and all this stuff, and now they've got the schools, they've got universities, they've got the military. I mean, here we go. Anyway, Paul Harvey, and by the way, what a great voice he had, man. Maybe it just sounds good in my headphones, but he really had a great set of pipes. Really a remarkable fellow. 526 now. Here with the Kimmer and Pete and Flounder. There's a new U.S. citizenship test, and already there are some complaints. It's an updated test. Been the first one after 15 years. And apparently the changes include it's not started yet, but it's going to start soon, I guess. It adds a speaking section. So for the exam, an officer would show pictures of everyday scenarios and ask the applicant to verbally describe what he is seeing. They want to know whether you can speak English. One person said, I think it'd be harder to look at pictures and explain them, a guy from Ethiopia said, because he passed the test to become a U.S. citizen. He learned English as an adult, Meanwhile, some people say sitting next to somebody from the federal government, it can be intimidating to talk and speak with them. Some people have this fear anyway. It's not your first language. It can be even more difficult and nervous sitting there with the federal guy that your future depends on whether you can describe what you're seeing in English as opposed to the words you grew up with. So they're a little nervous about it. Another change would be switching from the current oral short answer to multiple choice. And that's supposedly to increase the difficulty level and require a broader knowledge. For example, instead of asking the applicant to name any war by the United States in the 1900s, they could say, if they could just name any war in the 1900s, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Gulf War, I mean, there's a million of them. On the other hand, in the proposed multiple choice format, the applicant would read the question and then select from the following choices: A, Civil War, B, Mexican-American War, C, Korean War, or D, Spanish-American War. And there's only one of those that was in the 1900s, Korean War. So they would have to know all that other information, or they would have to guess. The applicant must know all 5 of the wars fought in order to select the correct answer. The applicant must answer, currently you have to get 6 out of 10 right of the civics questions, 6 out of 10 to pass. Those 10 questions are selected from a bank of 100 civics questions. You don't know which ones you're going to get, but the applicant is able to look at the 100 questions before you take the test. And then they're going to pick 10 of those questions. You have to get 6 of them right, of the civics section. And I don't have the any new questions or anything yet, but when we get them, we're going to take that test and see if we can do it.
I guarantee you, anyone who passes that knows more about our country than anybody who went through our government schools.
Well, I will, again, I'm not, as you go, I never served my country, and I was never in Vietnam, but when I was in Vietnam in the Marines, well, I never served. I was, homo. Better now, though. But I was, one of my side things, working for the State Department in the USIA program on the side, I was teaching translators and field translators to go out with the troops in the field and speak English and so forth. I guarantee you, in fact, one of my students asked me if I could name all the presidents in order. No way. I couldn't name probably 30 out of the 45 or whatever. I didn't know how it would be 45 now or 46. Whatever. Anyway, I said, hell no.
Because Trump was 45.
And they could all name. They could name them all. I mean, so we're not good. We Americans that are
That was always a goal of mine, to memorize them in order, but I never did it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, maybe next week. 5:30. We got so much more coming up. Here you go. Look. didn't he have a different name?
They had Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship.
Starship.
Then they were Starship. Yeah.
Starship, yeah. And that's the one where, what's that little hottie's name? I did a story out there once where they were confiscating the Jefferson Starship's cars. The feds came out because they all got
Jefferson Starship story. Grace Slick.
Grace Slick. Anybody who's not been with Grace Slick, raise your hand. She was very popular with the men. Lovely lady. And I met. Well, I can't remember. It wasn't Paul Kent. Was it Kent? I think I met Paul Kentner.
Paul Kentner was like driving.
Yeah, he was the guy, and I talked with him, and they were confiscating their cars because they caught in a drug thing or something. I don't remember.
I met her a few years ago, Grace Slick, and she said there were 3 men that she didn't sleep with that she always had dreamed that she missed.
And they were
Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and Peter O'Toole.
Yeah, Peter O'Toole. I remember you saying that was, and I thought, Peter O'Toole, of all the things. Well, good for her. Anyway, speaking of hotties, 2011 on this day, a hot little boy toy who decided to kill her daughter so she could have more time to be a tramp got away with it. Yes, it's true. 25-year-old Casey Anthony murdered her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, but was convicted only of lying to the police. O.J. sent her flowers and... Yeah, and again, she killed her daughter, then she got a tattoo and started hanging around all the nightclubs and dance clubs and stuff. It was a little suspicious there, but she got away with it. Anyway, let's do, I want to talk about a couple of weird things in the news. There's a Bridezilla story, which I think is interesting because this is still, summertime marrying season, and this may be, but it goes to show how woke the young people are now, and how they're taking it even into the old traditions of getting married. Well, that's coming up in a second here. First, let's play the Dave Portnoy thing, Flounder, if you don't mind, one more time. Dave Portnoy was reacting to all the hate from Ben and Jerry's, and the New York Times came out with reasons why we should not celebrate 4th of July as Independence Day, because we're all racist and try to kill all the black people and so forth. And finally, the Barstool... is it Barstool Sports was the original full title, right?
Yes.
And he's a guy who raised millions of dollars to help small businesses make it through the Chinese kill virus pandemic. And he's sick and tired of all the America bashing, especially on the freaking 4th of July Independence Day.
Okay, I got to do this real rant. It's 4th of July. Happy birthday, USA. Cheers. The last couple of years, I feel like it's been similar. There's so much division right now in this country. Oh, this country sucks. We don't do this right. We don't do that right. These people don't have these rights, this, that, nonstop. Well, let me tell you something. I don't care. Yeah, we're not perfect. Anybody who doesn't think the United States is still the best, most progressive, best place to live in the world is a moron. If you think there's a better country to live in, go live in it. I'm not telling you that you can't complain or try to make changes. That's America. That's the beauty of America. You can say whatever you want. But the people like, oh, this country, it sucks. Like, you take Brittany Griner. She hated America. Then what happens? She's throwing the gulag in Russia for having a vape. Doesn't happen here. People are so quick to say, oh, this country sucks, this, that. It is the best country in the world. Period. Go find me a better one. You won't. You can't. You won't. So I don't care if you like this country, whether you trash this country, just shut up on the 4th of July and thank God you live here. Is it perfect? No. Is it the best country in the world? By a mile. So cheers to every person in this country, all Americans. Cheers. Happy birthday, America. Best country in the world. Sip a high noon. Senoritas, warm breezes. Happy birthday.
Senoritas.
Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports.
He makes a great point. Other countries around the world will wallow in troubles for hundreds of years and don't do a thing about it. Nothing stays the same here. If there's a problem, people start working to change it. Even if it takes a while, they change it eventually. It's like the Russian girl in The Sopranos said, you're the only people in the world who think you have a right to be happy.
Yeah.
Well, damn right we do.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we realize how lucky we are.
Yeah.
We could have been born in Bhopal, India. I mean, come on. So we know we accept the fact that we won the lottery. We won the Where Are You Born on Earth lottery. We got to be born in America, or got to be here, naturalized, whatever. If you're in America, you're lucky. And again, for people to complain about all the things that are going on, what is the good example of a socialist nature with our extent of our population and our natural resources and everything else and our status in the world? Name me a socialist country that would be a good example for us to follow.
All I know is the British Empire helped push slavery over here, right? They made a fortune doing it. And they got rid of slavery in the 1830s, and they crow about that. But it took them 1,000 years to get around to it. We were less than 100 years old before we got rid of it.
Not only that, in the colonies in 1625, they were the first ones to outlaw slavery. It started in the 1600s in America. One of the first colonies off of Plymouth Rock, for crying out loud, banned slavery, banned any owning of the slaves in the colony. So, we started.
It's the only country in the history of the world that got rid of it in less than 100 years.
Yeah. That's again, but we forget that we're not an old nation.
No.
And again, if you look at history, Pete will tell you that he knows more about history than I'll ever will. Most civilizations, you go 200-300 years, and usually there's some kind of revolution. And, speaking of how things are changed, I saw this on one of the social media posts from an advice column of Ask Amy, which is kind of like a Dear Abby. Ask Amy. A mother sent a letter in saying, basically, here's the story. Mother said, my daughter's wedding, she told her uncle, my brother, the mother's brother. So the daughter at the wedding told her uncle that he would make her feel unsafe if he came to the wedding. And so the daughter asked her mother to tell the mother's brother, the uncle, not to come. She asked me not to invite him. So the mother told to ask him, he said, my daughter didn't want the uncle to come, my brother to come, because he's a conservative, and that would make her feel unsafe if he was a guest. So she wanted the mom to tell the brother, the uncle, you can't come to the wedding. It'd be better if you didn't come to the wedding, okay? Which she did. The mother told the brother, my daughter doesn't want you to come to the wedding because you're a conservative, and she would feel fearsome. The mother went on to write that the guy Dave has always been very nice, and my daughter's request surprised me. And she wrote Dave a nice note telling him we would not be comfortable with him at the wedding. He would not be invited. And then she showed some pictures of the photos to the brother, but that hasn't heard back from the brother. The mother sent pictures of the wedding to the brother who was not invited, and now she's complaining that the brother never sent anything back to say, gee, it looked like a great wedding. Are you kidding me? And also, the mother is complaining that Dave did not send my daughter and her husband a wedding gift. She said, in the past, Dave has been giving family members wedding checks in excess of $1,000, and my daughter was counting on receiving the same type of gift. So Dave's behavior is upsetting and embarrassing to me. Holy crap! The daughter doesn't want the uncle to come to the wedding, so the mother says, I'll tell him he can't come. And now the mother's complaining and the daughter's complaining because he didn't send him $1,000.
You know what everybody at the wedding was saying?
Yeah.
Dave's not here.
Dave's not here. But again, that's progressive Gen Z for you. By the way, they want you to pay off their loans too.
Entitled. Yeah.
And Amy, the girl, says, first of all, the first column is your delicate daughter's too frightened to be near a conservative voter to allow her Uncle Dave to go to the wedding, and then she wants you to do her dirty work for you, which you did. Shame on you, mother. Let the daughter say, oh, I don't want you to come, Uncle Dave. What a freaking coward. And then secondly, she says, let's recap this too. Your second problem will enter the Bridezilla Hall of Fame or infamy. Brides who are too afraid of family members to invite them to a family wedding don't then get the pleasure of receiving their money. It's almost like you're afraid of your daughter as she is of her brother. I hope you find a way to courageously tell her that the bank of Uncle Dave is closed, at least to your branch of the family. This is unbelievable. And this is they want you to pay their mortgage off too, and their college loans. I mean, my God, the nerve of these people. I've never heard anything like this in my life.
It's a mother's fault. She raised it.
Yeah, she did, and she's enabling her to get away with it. The same way that Dr. Jill's enabling President Showers' daughter to pretend he's running for president again. White trash. Oh my God, I can't believe it. And one more thing, I've shown a video before when I pump my gas at the gas station. Mm-hmm. I frequently have my pistol at the ready. And the reason is, for example, guess what? Now in DeKalb County, in unincorporated areas of DeKalb County, gas stations and the convenience stores are required to have high visibility cameras to make sure what's going on there, so residents shouldn't be afraid of going to pump gas anytime, day or night. They're going to be required. 250 gas and service stations in unincorporated DeKalb outside city limits are required to comply. Retail businesses comply with the surveillance rules if they've been the site of certain violent crimes in the past, too. It's getting so bad in DeKalb County, they're mandating that you have to have security cameras, which you think you don't want to do anyway, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and keep the recordings for 30 days.
Isn't that so nice that for your loved ones, they'll have a high-definition film of your murder?
Yeah, because you're getting shot right there. Ooh, he wearing the new tie.
Who got shot?
Oh, my God. And you'll be happy to know that after we pulled out of Afghanistan and murdered all those American service people, thanks to President White Trash and his ridiculous silly Millie and his pronoun and podium pedicure specialist in the military, the Taliban, now after we let them take over Afghanistan, has now banned women's beauty salons. The women are no longer allowed to try to look good. They also have banned bettering women's lives in Afghanistan, including barring them from going to school or going to public places and most kinds of jobs. No more Taliban, no beauty salons, no jobs, no education, no going out in public, no transportation, and no work. Congratulations, President Showers with daughter. You've left a legacy behind at your friends in Afghanistan. Oh, scuzzball. It's 5:45 already. Holy mackerel. We got more. Hold on. Bum, bum. I love the old Beatles. Not to tell. Oh, whoa. 1963. Do hear I'm in love with you. The Beatles, on this very day in 1963, played the Plaza Ballroom in Dudley in the West Midlands. Appearing with the Beatles was Denny and the Diplomats, led by Denny Lane, who went on to join the Moody Blues and eventually Paul McCartney's Wings.
Yep.
Which I did not know in 1963. Also, a little musical note here. In 1969, the Rolling Stones gave a free concert for 250,000 fans in London's Hyde Park. In 1969 was originally intended to introduce Mick Taylor as their new guitarist, but since Brian Jones had just died, it actually became more of a tribute concert to Brian Jones in 1969. Let's see. Hello, Dolly. On this day, 1996, the Roslin Institute in Scotland cloned a sheep they named Dolly from the udder of a 6-year-old ewe. So there you are, Dolly the sheep.
Me?
Thank you, not me, you, hear him. Prince of Wales, the Dales renowned, but down. No, I want to go to that drinking game. By the way, just for the record, here we go again. Hilton Head. A 69-year-old woman was walking her dog at 9:30 in the morning. Spanish Wells community of Hilton Head. Beautiful place. And that's when they found her body half eaten by an alligator.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, she was walking her dog near the lagoon. And apparently, let's see, she was found unresponsive, partially chewed, and the alligator was there guarding his trophy, interrupting the efforts to try to get to her to see if she was still alive. The alligator wouldn't let them get near her. They eventually did, and they took the alligator and put him somewhere else. They didn't kill him. They took him away when they got the woman's body, and they removed him safely, it says, to someplace else. Anyway.
What about the doggy?
Dog got away. The dog is okay. I don't know what kind of dog it was. I mean, it was a little, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we can blame the dog for not trying to attack the alligator, depending on what kind of dog it was and everything. And it's not clear exactly what had happened. Anyways, I'm telling you, if you're now this is Hilton Head, but again, if you have any kind of swamp area, the Carolinas and Florida and Georgia and stuff, in Florida, if you're playing golf, if you're at any body of water, any lagoon or any pond in the back of your housing area in Florida, there's gators in there. Period. I mean, they just are.
Pond would be good for you.
Pool or pond. Yeah, I'm Briar too. I'm Briar. Yeah.
We used to go to Hilton Head every year, and we only worried about the jellyfish there.
Yeah. Well, when you get that, and by the way, geez, I haven't had a jellyfish attack in decades. I remember one bad time though on a vacation, and man, they were everywhere. You couldn't go in the water.
It's horrible.
Oh, so absolutely. We have another comedy bit. It was 5:54. We saved one for this very last part of the day here. Flounder's funnies, if you will, sir.
You know whose balls I'd love to slam in a mailbox for 20 minutes straight? Grown men who board 6 a.m. flights who have never seen clouds before. I don't know if you've ever had the good fortune of boarding an early morning flight where there's an unspoken agreement. We're going to keep it nice and dark so we can rest along the journey, but there's always some TikTok in 16C. Yeah. One guy who's sitting there who's like, I never see a cloud like that. Oh, there's another one right there. Well, are you f***ing 4? Shut the shade. We're trying to get some rest.
I have had that happen before.
Oh, really? On the flight back from London, the woman to the left of me refused to put it down the whole time.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Now, what's the courtesy on that? It's bad enough about putting your seat back. Now, if you're on an international flight overseas, are those? Now, I don't think I've ever.
It's
trying to remember.
Nothing to see. It's ocean.
Yeah.
Close the window.
Yeah. Well, but what about the seat? Do you have room to put a seat back all the way when you're taking a 6-hour flight to London or something?
It doesn't go back very far anymore.
I'll be darned. Yeah, and again, that's the other thing. And again, I love when women with long hair put their hair over the back of their seat. And then the good thing to do is to pretend you're sneezing on her hair and flick her hair with your finger.
You take your phone out and you get the sound of scissors on it or a razor.
You're in my way. You're in my food. Oh my God. Anyway, if you want to here's our phone number in case you want to put this in your phone, and maybe tomorrow when we call or when we do our show, if you want to call in, it's 404-741-1230, 741-1230. Put it in your phone, and when you call and put you on hold, you can hear the show and everybody's fine. Anyway, Pete Davis, what's left over here, my friend? I'm trying to figure out, we've covered almost everything.
Well, I got the news story from New York here.
All right,
a man in New York City tried to rob his drug dealer in his apartment, shot him dead. When the dealer's roommate peeked out of his room, the assailant shot and wounded him in the cheek. But upon his getaway, the murderer was hoisted by his own petard, or pants in this case.
No.
He was wearing his pants low around his knees, as is the style. He got tangled up in them running down the stairs, tripped and fell on his gun. His finger was still on the trigger. Bang went the dynamite. The bullet entered his neck and killed him on the spot.
Oh, as it should be, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my goodness. By the way, do we ever do Skynet? Have you got any Skynets over there?
Yeah, but it's probably, how much time you got?
I got a minute. 2 minutes. We got plenty of time.
All right.
Pete Davis.
ChatGPT has landed a new job on its resume, wedding officiant. Hey, they're taking our job, Kimmer.
That's not fair. I've done 3.
Colorado couple Reese Winch and Dayton Truitt celebrated their wedding last weekend in Morrison, Colorado, at the church there. It dates back to the 1800s, but they got ChatGPT to oversee the wedding, not a preacher. Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate the extraordinary love and unity of Reese and Dayton, the chatbot said. It was also the first, did not want to do it. The computer says, I don't want to do it. I don't have eyes. I don't have a body. I can't officiate your wedding. But they talked to the computer and talked it into doing it.
Wait a minute. The computer argued with these people, and
Yes.
they had a conversation arguing and convincing the computer.
That's right.
How could you... Well, I thought that was impossible. I thought
Well, they
computer
put
would
a
always...
camera. They put a camera on him so he could see them.
Oh, my God.
So he said, during the ceremony, I will eloquently express the significance of this historic moment and the limitless possibilities that arise when love and technology intersect.
You know, when I performed wedding ceremonies, I actually had to look up, and I went to the people and said, would this be okay for me to say this? Because some wanted, a Christianity thing, and maybe some, so I always check with them first. But still, you'd either have to write it or go to one of the many religious wedding ceremony things you can find on Google and stuff like that. But this is a whole new thing. I mean, thank you for my camera. It's like he's wait a minute.
It was all a ploy to get eyes.
Oh, my God.
And basically, they didn't tell him what to say, so he made up the speech, and they put a mask over him so it looked like there was a human face talking to them. And it basically, they wrote their own vowels. We'll give them that.
Do we know what he said in the ceremony? Have we got what the computer said? Is there a voice? It must be somebody's voice, right?
Oh, yeah. I guess it's a computer-generated voice. How would you like that to tell you that you're married?
Now, can we find that? I'd love to hear a computer doing a wedding ceremony. Flounder, is that possible? Or Pete, maybe you can put a little cowabunga on that. See if we can find. That'd be kind of fun to listen to.
I'll get top men on it.
Staff.
Damn it.
Top.
Anyway, Secret Service says yes, that was cocaine, and probably Dr. Jill's, because I think she's having an affair, a drug-induced affair with Hunter. That's my recollection from a dream I had. And also the Biden family and the white trash family in the White House violating all the constitutional amendments, and what the heck, that's not ever going to change until we get rid of all of them. And God bless America. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Kimmer and Pete and Flounder. Hoorah! I gotta go.